Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Speak On It. Quick and promptu episode after what happened today. Um, Floor is yours, bro. I don't even know where to
Yeah,
start, honestly.
yeah. Honestly, I mean, it's of course, what we're talking about is the Texas school shooting where it was 14 kids murdered, um, one teacher and a grandmom, um, and the shooter. Um, the reason I wanted to do it, man, is because I mean, just a couple things. Like we got school age kids. You know what I mean? Like it could have easily been like my daughter. I mean, my kids, my son. First and foremost, I want to say prayers, thoughts, um, everything go out to all the 14 um, families that was affected by the shooting. Um, 16, I mean, if we're including the two adults, the grandmom, all the thoughts and prayers go out to them. Um, you can't, words can't express. I mean, words can't help. Um, I just pray for peace for everybody that's involved. I mean, and not just the shootings. I mean, that happened today. The shootings that happened in Buffalo, the shooting that happened in Cali. But we're gonna talk about the 14 that got killed today, the kids. Um, it's sad. You know what I mean, it's sad, bruh,
Absolutely.
that we see something like that, and then it's just like we just move on like it's business as usual. Um, it's crazy, bro. Like I said, I just keep thinking about like my kids, and I was talking to my wife about it the day when she was talking to me about this. Like, what do you do? Like, where do you go? Like, do
That's
you
the
just keep your
question,
kids home? Like,
bro. I had though. I was thinking about that myself today. Just thinking like as a black man, growing up in urban neighborhoods, you always kind of grow up just kind of on your P's and Q's, and always felt like when you go to other places, you kind of felt comfortable and kind of feels not as much anymore.
mm-hmm,
Like I gotta be on my P's and Q's now at the grocery store. Like I gotta teach my daughter, you know, how to survive a possible shooting at school. Something that I never even thought of as a child. So there's a lot of things that that need to be done, and the question is, how do they get fixed? You
yeah,
know, how do they get fixed? It starts with local government. That's how things are gonna have to get fixed. You're gonna have to start getting the right people on the school boards, the right people on the town and the city councils. That's for me. That's where the change is gonna have to start. We're gonna start. People are gonna point to the big politicians. People are gonna want to point right now. Biden is office, so they'll point to Biden and the Democrats. But if Trump was in office, they would point to Trump and the Republicans when it's still the American problem. And nothing gets done because we too busy trying to point the blame at one another instead of trying to fix the problem.
yeah. One of the things Steve Kerr said in his press conference soliloquy, and I'm not going pretend to act like I know all the ins and outs of the gun reform. Um, but he was saying how majority of Americans want, I guess, testing or just proper, just going through the proper protocols before we giving out guns just to anybody. And he was saying how uh, it's 50 senators or whatever it is that's holding up that. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to get on and go live is to say whoever is watching, whoever comes across this video, whoever has pull or influence, I mean, just to use our little platform, I mean, it's time for a change. Like, I mean, like our babies is getting murdered at school. Like you leave the house, right? You put your kids on the bus. And I'm gonna say this, I mean, if I get emotional on the call, on this joint, it is what it is, I mean, but you put your babies on the bus, right? And trusting that they're gonna go to a safe place. They go to a safe place in school where they feel as though that there's other adults that's gonna look over your kids, and like you get a call like your kids ain't coming home. That gotta affect somebody. I know it affect people, you know what I mean, but that has to spark some kind of change. And I know, like, we talk about all the things that happen in the black community, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? But kids, these kids those kids was innocent, bro. Innocent. Just a routine day. Elementary kids. Something that they feel that they do on a daily. Go to school, learn, listen to your teachers. Like, these are things that you taught them that they probably told them when they left that morning. And then they not coming home.
Bro. And it's 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 double for me because I work in the school system. So we have drills for this. You know what I mean? And let's be honest, no one takes them serious. The kids, they're kids. You know what I mean? They don't. Kids always feel invincible. So they. But the reality of it is, it's real. And you can try and make it as real as possible in a drill, but it's a drill.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you just I like what do you do? What do you do? Like we can try to talk about guns, but you can't even have a conversation about guns because the very moment you say anything other than everybody should just have the guns that they want, ev- everybody feels like they're just coming to take their guns. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, no, try to hear people out before you just assume that that's the result that everybody wants, is that no guns. I don't think that anybody I don't see that as a possibility in this country without a war. I
Yeah.
believe that there will be a war if
Yeah.
you try to take
Try to take guns, yeah.
if you try to take white people's guns. They will fight you. I do believe that. So um that's not gonna happen. But we've got to do something, right? Like
Yeah.
we've got to do something. I don't know what to do, but we've got to do something. I feel like let's there's always a interesting argument about people coming over the borders, but there's never really a lot of conversation about guns and drugs that come over the border. And you know I just feel like those are the conversations that we need to be having more often versus the people that are coming over the border.
Yeah.
So
I do want to ask you this question. Yeah, I mean, because you said, like you said, you double, right? You working in the school system. I mean, and you got um a little one. Yeah, I mean, who's still in the school system. I mean, who could have been affected, right? How do like what would we want to see for us to feel safe? Because if we're being real, like, yes, we got work. We're gonna send our kids to school, but I think a part of us still think like after seeing this, it still thinks like we always think, well, it can't happen to us. That's in Texas. It can't happen
yeah,
to us. Can't happen to our kids. You know what I mean? But if we being real, it can happen to
It happen anywhere, man.
anywhere. Like I remember
It happen
in
anywhere.
Elkton, out in here in Elkton, I remember getting the alerts where it was a shooter that was on a it was a active shooter in the area. You know what I mean? Kid, shot up some shot up a job and then went on the run.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. We've had that in our district where there was I think there was like a bank robbery like right across the street. You know, like anything could have happened. You know what I mean? But you know, like as only thing you can do is send them out where they're supposed to be. Send them out where you want them. If you want them to go, if you want to keep your kids home and homeschool them, by all means, if you have that ability, go for it. I don't, so
yeah,
they got to go to school.
yeah.
So I only thing I can do is, hope for the best.
Hope for the best. Yeah,
Hope for the best.
hope for the best.
I've been to my daughter's, both of my daughter's schools. It's very tight. Man. It's very tight. I don't think you just walking in there. And then my one daughter, she's in high school, so that there's a resource officer probably. I think in every Delaware high school, I believe, as a resource officer. So that don't. Oh, for me, that doesn't always make me feel safe. I just makes me feel like people may be a little bit a little less reluctant to just run in there shooting, knowing that there is somebody in there armed. But I know one answer that people want to keep throwing out is give teachers guns, and that's definitely a no go. Uh, trust me, that's not gonna end well. That's not gonna end well. Um, and I'm not even talking about an active shooter coming in with the gun, with a teachers having guns. People tempers get
Tempers.
high in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So like you teachers, that's just stupid in my opinion. You just adding fuel to the fire in my opinion. Um, I don't get that at all. But you have to we have to address the gun issue. We can't pretend that it's not an
Yeah,
issue. I know we Americans, we love our guns. We love our guns, we love our violence. I understand it, but to pretend that it's not an issue is at this point in time, you just lying to yourself. It's an
yeah.
issue. The guns are an issue. This he didn't go in there and stab 14 people to death. Right. So
Yeah.
the
I
tool is an issue.
yeah, and like I said, that's why I wanted to just do this impromptu, just to talk about it. Use our little platform to talk about it. The one thing that comes to my mind is Mr. Clark. Remember, he locked the locked the doors. You know what I mean? Like something has to change, man. Um, Something has to change. And again, it starts with talking about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
has
And,
to.
and again, I do not believe in just taking everybody's guns. I don't believe in that. I know a lot of people that use guns recreationally. They hunt, and from the people that I talk to that love them, it's very therapeutic. You know, it's very therapeutic. So I can understand it, but not everybody, not everybody should have one.
I
You know,
agree.
not everybody should have one. You got to go through a lot of testing, and you know you got to drive and pass a written test to get your license to drive. I really don't know the process, but I'm pretty sure it's not that to get a gun.
To get a gun,
I don't think you
it's
have
not
to.
even.
I don't think you have to go through the range and show your abilities, and pass a written test as well. But that should be the case.
I
You got to do something. I'm not saying that should be the case, but it needs to be something. It needs to be something to keep the guns out of the people's hands who don't need them.
I think I was this came to my mind. To be a police officer, you gotta pass a a written and a psychological test to become a police officer. Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you want to get a gun, you got to be able to pass a physical test and a psychological test.
Well, I'm
A
just gonna keep it.
red,
I'm just gonna keep it 100. They obviously need to change the one that you need to take to be a police
I
officer too. So
yeah. Listen, I agree with
just
that
just
too.
being just keeping it 100. They obviously need to change that. Don't use that one. Don't use those
Don't use the
tests.
one
Don't
that
use
y'all
that.
use.
Come up with a new
Y'all use
one.
now.
Come up with a new one. So
But
because
like you said,
that one ain't working.
it's we making it easy to get a gun. You know what I mean, and I just think again, we don't not to take everybody's guns away, but it has to be harder than what it is. And I know, like you can't get everybody. You can't. Some people are gonna get through,
Yeah,
but I'm
there's always
saying
gonna people that's gonna fall through. Absolutely.
like these assault weapons is like, man, I don't know. We gotta do something though.
Yeah,
That's the
we
hope.
gotta do. We have to do something. We can't just keep going on like this because the reason why you get numb to something is because you continuously see it,
Yeah,
and we're seeing mass shootings
three, what
two
three?
to three a month now, right? Or some variation of it. We can't like the New York guy, the guy in New York. He didn't catch bodies, but he wounded a lot of people. Like these types of things are ramping up. So to sit here and pretend again that it's just the people and they're crazy, and but yeah, they know that the weapon of choice to get the job done is a gun. So we can't pretend that the gun isn't an issue,
Yeah,
because again, that's the weapon that they are continuing to choose to carry out these just
and
completely
listen,
animal. I don't even know
yeah,
like how to describe these events, man. It's ridiculous.
and this is what I want to say to any of my gun users. Yeah, I mean, who watch the show. Um, listen, we don't want to take your guns away, but give us, I mean, thoughts, feedback on some ideas that y'all think could help. You know what I mean, is it an easy process to get a gun? I mean, do y'all think it should be a more rigorous process to get a gun? You know what I mean? What are your thoughts again? Not trying to take guns away.
Not at
We
all.
understand the world that we live in.
Not at all.
But there's no way you can see 14 elementary kids get gunned down at school and think that it's okay. Like there has to be some kind of change.
Something. Yeah, we
So,
gotta do something. We can't keep going on like this, because when we when you continue to go this route, it becomes the norm,
yeah,
and we're dealing with stuff that we shouldn't be having to deal with. We shouldn't be having to deal with it. Not for this long. Like we're talking about Columbine. I'm pretty sure there was others before that, but the one that became the biggest and the most publicized was Columbine. And here we are. That was what, 98, 99, I believe, somewhere around there.
maybe early
Here
2000s, but yeah,
here we are in at least over
20.
20 years later, and we still haven't truly addressed the problem.
Yeah,
And I think that's a real issue.
and to my knowledge, again, no mass shootings is okay. None of them. But I don't think, to my knowledge, in my recollection, again, maybe people who watch in the comments can point out some stuff, but I can't think of one that involved 14 elementary kids, like 14 little kids like this, man. I
I
I
don't
just
know.
like,
I don't know how many. I know Sandy Hook had adults as well, but
yeah,
it was quite a few at Sandy Hook. But again,
yeah,
this is like again, as a parent, you have to feel some type of way as a
yeah,
parent. If you're not a parent, maybe you're an aunt, you're an uncle, you know,
Sibling. I mean,
something
like
like
something.
something like you have this seen this and been like, all right, enough's enough at this point. Like something's got to give. Enough's enough.
And like Biff said
Somebody's got to
earlier,
do something.
man, when we first started, put pressure on your locals, man. Put pressure on your locals because that's where it start. It start with us knowing our voice, knowing our right, using our voice, whatever platform you got. Start talking about it. Put pressure on them so that way we can see change.
Yeah. Your local government is where you're going to really it's really start to making changes at. That's where you're gonna really start to make changes. Your mayors, your district attorneys, your your city councilmen, your school boards. You want to start seeing changes in in your communities. That's where you start at. Yes, the big elections count as well. Yes, but make sure you know who those people are, and also understand exactly how to get in contact with those people as well, because they work for you. So you should be able to get in contact with them. So, but
Sure. That's all I really got, bro. I appreciate you jumping on, man, doing the impromptu because I think again it was important, man. We just can't let things pass by,
how
sweep them
much
on
you,
the rug
bro?
and come numb to them.
Understandable,
So,
man. All right, bro.
all right, bro.
Peace.
I'm out of show.